territory, the Coast Salish peoples, and we thank the Sonawas and Qualicum First Nations for their stewardship of this land and allowing us to live, work, play, and learn in such a beautiful part of the island. I have one additional item to add to the agenda this evening. Trustee Young would like to talk about the Qualicum Secondary School Healing Garden under trustee item 17B. So I would ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to approve the agenda. Thank you, Trustee Kellogg. Seconded. Trustee Young. All those in favor, trustees? Thank you. Approval of the consent agenda as presented this evening. The documents are listed there, pages 1 to 16. I'd move that or ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the consent agenda. Thank you, Trustee Young. Seconded, Trustee Kellogg. All those in favor? Carried. So we have no delegations this evening, but we did receive questions, written questions from DPAC on our budget. So I'll review those and the answers that we've generated. So the first question is, what is the total anticipated value of the sale? And this would be the sale of French Creek Community School, I believe. That's the only sale we've had. And how will the proceeds be allocated between local capital funds and ministry restricted capital funds? So the gross sale of the French Creek Community School was $3 million, $1.3 million less legal fees, $1,985 for net proceeds of $1,298.14. And because this property purchase was purchased by the school district over 100 years ago, 100% of the proceeds are placed in our local capital account. If it had been a shared purchase agreement with the ministry, then the ministry stands in and has to speak, or we speak with them about their portion of the revenue and what we spend it on. It usually is left with us, but they have say. What does this allocation mean for the district's overall financial position and long-term financial sustainability? These funds will help replenish our local capital reserve funds, which have been depleted over the years, and to support ongoing capital needs that are not otherwise funded through either ministry capital programs like our AFG and other operation special purpose funds within the budget. This is generally not applicable to just operating salaries and things like that. Question 3, it has been mentioned that the funds may be invested and that only the interest income would be used. Can the board confirm whether this is the current plan and explain how any investment income will be governor allocated given the restrictions of Section 100 of the School Act? So all of the funds the school district holds are invested prudently in varying financial instruments in order to preserve the value, assure liquidity, and to achieve high returns when available. And you will see an interest line and things like that in the budget statements every quarter. Currently, funds are invested in short-term lower yield bank accounts and medium-term high interest GICs and some ministry term accounts. From Board Policy 106, specifically Administrative Procedures section regarding accumulating operating surplus, local capital includes proceeds from the disposition of capital assets, transfer from operating funds, and interest earned. 1 to 5 year local capital plans are shared in the multi-year plan that we approved recently, and the budget development conversations that we have ongoing, and I would refer you to pages 19 to 21 in the multi-year financial plan, talks about the planning and budget conversations we are having now on local capital. Question 4, what implications does the sale have on the district's current future capital plans, including planned capital projects and priorities? This property sale and the proceeds it has provided will allow us for more fulsome conversations regarding the district's local capital planning. And again, I referred to page 19 to 21 in the financial plan that provides the means to addressing ongoing needs and priorities for the district. And in a sense, really no decisions have been made on this money at this time. So I will now call upon Dr. Jory and business arising from the minutes and the Qualicum School District's communication plan. Over to you, Dr. Jory. Oh, sorry,
And,
Trustee Young. Wait a second.
mm.
Sorry, Dr. Jory. Trustee Young?
No worries.
Yes, I think I do want to speak to this, to the questions. And we do nothing in private in this district. So all of these questions will be part of our budget deliberations. In the past, I have made some, being an optimist, I have made some decisions that in retrospect, I don't think put our school district in a very good spot. But as we come to budget, everybody's input will be welcomed. And some of these decisions, our priorities and so on, will be made during that time in an open atmosphere. So thank you for the questions, and I will have more comments on this later. But I just wanted to get out in front of it and say, we don't do stuff in private.
Thank you, Trustee Young. Okay, Dr. Jory, the Qualicum School District Comms Plan, pages 17 to 23 in your package.
Chair Flynn, as we all know, last year, the Board of Education passed a motion to develop a working group to develop a communications plan. That work has been ongoing. The group has met several times, produced several drafts, and has an ongoing conversation around next steps, but has recently kind of come to a place where I think they need the board's guidance. The last draft was shared. It had taken into consideration significant feedback, both from yourself in a recent meeting and from the committee, and the group has not settled on its current design. And so we're looking to you to decide what our next steps should be. And I see that that the Director Brennan is on the call, and I will invite him to add to that if he has any further commentary. We know from our recent conversation that this conversation is at this public meeting was expected. So I'm hoping that you have some thoughts and questions that will help move this forward and give staff a little more thought on the matter. Director Brennan, do you have anything to add to that at this time?
No, I don't. I'm looking forward to hearing what the board has to say and the direction we go from there. Thank you.
Trustee Austin, you are on this group. Do you want to help us with the kind of direction you feel is needed?
Absolutely. I think this is it's a terrific group of people, and Ryan's been doing a great job sort of trying to lead us to an end result. It's just a little there's a number of questions sort of up in the air right now. And one of them is, with the tight budget, I think people would sort of like to know, is the Board of Trustees, would they entertain the idea of hiring a communications person or having money made available in the budget to go toward communications? That seems to be a fairly key component in terms of what direction this communications plan will take. And so I think that's one of the main directions that they're looking for from this group. Ryan put together the one draft plan that we see in our agenda. And I think that was great. And I think it was a great jumping off point as well for people to sort of take and go, okay, here's something that we can put our teeth into. But, some people wanted to see it maybe expanded upon, more detail, some detail about what kind of work needs to be done, who's going to do the work, what the time frames, things like that associated with it. So there's still a few outstanding questions. So DPAC did put together also a draft plan as well as another member of the group, put toward a draft plan. So I think basically what's happening now is everybody's going to take some time, look at these 3 different draft plans and see where there's some commonality, where they intersect, and where it can be expanded or edited as needed. We will be meeting again. I'll refer to Ryan when we're going to be meeting again. And hopefully we can get a little more direction from the trustees this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Austin. Trustee Young.
So I'm going to kick this off a bit. There are things that I, as an individual trustee, expect from working groups, and one of the things that I think is important in a working group is to define the interests that the board might have. Interests, concerns, hopes, expectations, assumptions, priorities, beliefs, fears, and values. That's the easiest way to get to interests. I think this plan does it. I believe my job now is to move this plan forward and other working group plans forward so that we can look at the nuts and bolts of what this might cost in time for it to come to the budget process where we decide what the priorities are. I do want to say that there's a history to wanting to have a communications person in the district. I know that in my first term, I advocated for a position. We put away some money for a position, then we had to use the money because we had some other pressing needs. These things happen. And we've also had a part-time communications person, and that didn't work all that well. So what I hope to do tonight is to move this forward so that our senior management can then work on the nuts and bolts, you know, what we might need, how we can fund it so that it gets to that budget process in April. And I would say the same for the other working group that is operating right now. As a board, I need to know, yes, let's move it forward. Let's make it actionable. Let's get it into the budget process. And then we can decide how much priority it has. And that'll be a full and open process with all of our people. So I thank you very much, working group, for your work on this. And it allows me to say, yes, I absolutely have commitment to having proper professional communications person. And I want it to go on that list of all the things that we're going to discuss at that budget meeting. But I need to know how it's going to get funded, how much it's going to cost, and accepting this will allow it to go forward. Thanks.
Thanks, Trustee Young. Yeah, I think the key piece is to have strategies or terms of reference or qualifications and all those things required of is it a half-time person? Is it a full-time person? So that when we come to decide the expenditure with the budget, that we realize also what the production that will happen. What are the items that'll come to pass under the direction of the comms plan? Are there any other comments from the trustees at this point? Trustee Austin.
Yeah, I know I'm sort of sitting on the working group, but I do like the idea of a communications plan when it's presented to the board, having some of that detail. This is what we're expecting to see in the first year, or, you know, in 2 years' time or 6 months' time, having some timelines, having some of the work that we want to see done and achieved for that timeline. And because that will help inform the kind, if it's going to be an ask to have a position, that'll help inform what kind of position and what the scope of that position will be. So I do think it's important that our communications draft have all that kind of bit of detail, so that there's some goals and there's the action of how do we get to that goals and what's needed. and timeframes. So I'm
Uh,
hoping that
just-
this is giving folks on the working group a little bit of insight.
Yep, no, I think it's good. Yeah, Trustee Kellogg?
Yeah, I would also like to see what the working group is expecting the board to make a decision on, what the plan is, whether it's going to be a contract position, is it going to be somebody hired through the district? All of those things are going to matter at the end of the day for the board to make a decision on whether we move forward with it. And we also need to see in the budget if there's even money there. I believe we do need a communication person in the district. So yeah, I would like to see whatever plan that the working group has developed before I'm asked to make a decision on something like that.
Thanks, Trustee Kellogg. So I think that's given some pretty hard outline for the working group to get back to the table with the actionables, or to producing what the production tangibles will be from a communications coordinator, director, whatever it is, and that we can then understand what that kind of thing might cost us. So Julie, sorry, Trustee Austin, then Trustee Young, and then Dr. Jory.
Sorry, just one more thing, because there was a suggestion made at the working group. And it would, this is to you, Ron, because this would fall on your shoulders. And that was to ask, what would the budget look like if we put in money for communications? How would that affect the rest of the budget? What else would we have to look at in terms of perhaps being a little leaner on? So I think that kind of information, so it's it's a give and take, it's a back and forth, so that everybody can see, well, you know, this is the advantages and this will be great. However, there might be some things we might have to give up. But if that's the kind of thing that you could present to us, Ron, that would be really helpful as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and absolutely to your point, this is being, I mean, once we kind of confirm the value being added, these things will just get added to the budget asks. And the balancing act is really comes down to what we add, what we subtract kind of thing. So yes, this gets added like everything else.
Trustee Young.
Yeah, I guess this is a question of governance versus operations. I think in order to make this actionable, the board has to say, yes, we like this concept. Now, you know, Ron can do, Secretary Treasurer Amos can do his work. Superintendent Jory can do his work. The senior team can do their work, and it comes out at budget. That's what I think our governance role is. The timelines, all of that information can come out at budget. I am really concerned, though, that we get this moving for this year, because if we sit on it for another month, we don't have it out to the public until the end of April, May. And that, to me, doesn't give the public enough time to think about it. So I want to move this forward tonight. I want to make it actionable tonight.
Okay, got your message, Trustee Young. Dr. Jory. There's only 3 days left in the week.
My understanding is, and Director Brennan can clarify that at least one of the previous versions had I guess an appendix of sorts that identified the scope of work or outcomes. I mean, not necessarily specifically, but in general terms, in a binary way. One, you know, the work we would focus on and try to focus on without adding a position, and then you know, a more ambitious version if we were to have a position, even if it was to be part-time. The current version doesn't have that dynamic, and it's I think it's incredibly helpful for us to see as staff that there at least is an appetite to entertain this conversation about the position, and we did not have that clarity before, and so seeing that it is a possibility, then it allows us to get a little more specific and a little more granular in the proposals. I feel like there's a fairly strong appetite amongst the working group to support that position, even if it's part-time. And I don't, my honest assessment is this is not a full-time position. I think there's a lot of value that could be added at, point 0.4 or thereabouts. There's a whole bunch of work that could become routinized at that level that I think would be very helpful. I appreciate some of the comments that have come back to me from the group. One in particular from Trustee Austin about, it's not enough in this position to have a person who just does tasks. We want somebody that actually can enhance the skill level, enhance the quality of the product that goes out, out the door, out through the internet, and so on. And I appreciate that. And I will say, I'm not a communications person. In my defense, I'm going to say this: if you take a scan across all the superintendents in the province, I mean, I've got an English background, I've got a fine arts background, and I've got a bit of a technology background. I think I'm about 80th percentile on the skill set. However, that doesn't make me a communications person. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that a trained person knows how to do, and knows how to do very well, or can learn how to do very well and more efficiently. And ultimately, this is what I want for all of the staff that is working in the school district: make us better, make me better, right? And so I appreciate the comment that this isn't just for anybody. We're looking for expertise. On that note, I don't want to jump ahead too much, and I don't want to be too explicit about a conversation that I've had in very informally, but I have had a very informal conversation with a neighboring district that is well staffed in this regard about potentially contracting work with them, and I want to continue that conversation, and so I will, hearing the board's support, I can work with them and be able to potentially come back with a proposal that I think would not only meet the potential needs of the school district, but do so efficiently. And I think that's incredibly important in these times of constraint.
Trustee Austin, to wrap.
Yes, I just wanted to actually refer you back to Ryan and ask Ryan, do you think we have answered some of the questions that we heard at the last working group? Do you think it's enough to move forward now and try and nail something down, or do you think there's more information that they may need?
No, I think we have the information we need. I think I've heard, some more details in the plan, some more tangibles. Certainly, the way the plan in the agenda was written specifically that it was not dependent on a dedicated communications person. It could go either way. If what I hear from the board here is that perhaps we need to, come back with a plan that does have some communication support in it, and then that'll allow us to be more tangible in terms of those targets that you're looking for. So no, I think the feedback we've gotten here is good, and the working group can get back to work.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Yeah, I think there's certainly, some deliverables that the board might like to see articulated as to how it looks, and then also what it costs, and the expectations of how that would unfold for an overall decision on the financial page. The financial page looks a bit different when you look at all the deliverables. You either can do it or you can't. Okay, good to go then. And the communications plan being received and debated by the board. Thank you very much, everyone. I see, although our president of MATA had an executive meeting of his executive tonight in the evening. I think he's joined us. Matt, no report, or would you like to jump in with something? Or maybe I didn't see him come. President Cupey, MATA isn't right there, but
Yeah, he's there.
yeah. Matt? Okay. He had advised me today there would be no report. So I'll move to Ewan Rycroft, president of Cupey. Ewan.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I don't think my camera is working, but okay. Yeah, good evening, members of the board, colleagues, and community members. First, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to everyone who works with our children every day, from bus drivers and teachers to educational assistants and all staff who support our students. It truly takes a community to raise a child, and together we are shaping District 69 students for success. I need to highlight some important budget issues affecting our district. The hours of our library workers who play a key role in giving students a safe access to books and encouraging a love for reading are being cut back drastically. Libraries provide many children with inclusive, secure environment that is essential for some students. Losing these dedicated staff members is a real setback for our schools, as they are instrumental in supporting students' academic achievement. Similarly, our education assistants are stretched so thin that they are forced to be reactive rather than proactive. With so few educational assistants in the classroom, it's becoming increasingly difficult to provide a level of support that our students need. We must improve these staffing levels to ensure parents feel confident in our public education system rather than considering private alternatives for their children. This year is a bargaining year for us. We anticipate having our provincial framework in place in the next few months, hopefully, with bargaining dates set for March 25th and 26th and follow-up sessions in early April. Once provincial process is complete, we look forward to bargaining locally with our employer. Our hope is for a collaborative and meaningful process that results in positive outcomes for both sides. I'd also like to highlight the success of our most recent professional development day held on February 13th. It was a tremendous experience for most staff. We are greatly appreciated the collaboration with our employer and the resources shared by various administrators. These types of open communication help us grow as a successful education system. We look forward to building on this collaboration, reviewing what worked well, and identifying future opportunities to enhance learning. My sincerest thanks goes out to Jen Furman for her invaluable contributions, and to Janine Chartrand for coordinating on behalf of CUPE, and to the entire CUPE Professional Development Committee for their countless hours that they volunteer. Finally, as we approach spring break, after what has been a very fast-paced year, I hope everyone can take some time to relax, recharge, and enjoy family and friends. I recognize that many of us continue to work throughout the break, sometimes even harder during these closed down times, as the regular term. But it's important to pause and care for ourselves and our loved ones and embrace this transition into a new season. Spring break gives students and staff a much needed opportunity to recover from the winter term and prepare for the exciting months ahead. Thank you for your ongoing dedication and commitment to the success of our students and our district. Thank you. That is my report.
Thanks, Mr. Rycroft. Next on our agenda is Deepak, and I'll call upon Marina. Are you preparing your report tonight?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Good evening. We have heard from the Springwood and Oceanside PACs how much they appreciate the collaborative conversations taking place with the district and community partners to identify solutions that improve safe routes to school. So really, really happy to hear that. It's encouraging to see these groups working together to address concerns, and we are pleased with the progress being made. We support the idea of assessing the safest walking, biking, and driving routes to all schools across the district and look forward to seeing this work continue. DPAC also appreciates the trustees' commitment to reviewing and updating district policies and recognizes the significant effort involved in undertaking this work. The goal of reviewing and modernizing the full policy set before the October election is an ambitious one. As a volunteer-run organization, DPAC operates on limited capacity, and reviewing a large number of policies within a short time frame is challenging. We want to contribute meaningful parent perspective to the process and wonder whether there are maybe opportunities to pace the work in a way that allows for more discussion, reflection, and thoughtful feedback. Deepak also really enjoyed hearing the conversation around communications, hearing from trustees it's a priority, and the district. Really happy to hear that. We believe that a well-designed communications plan can strengthen understanding across the district while also creating efficiencies, reducing confusion, improving clarity, and supporting more effective use of staff time and district resources over the long term. A clear communication strategy can also help strengthen public confidence in the district and support a positive reputation for the district within the broader community. And we agree it would be helpful for the next version of the plan to outline a proposed strategy, estimated costs, implementation timeline, deliverables that the district intends to achieve. With the province moving toward permanent daylight savings time, winter mornings will become darker, meaning many students will be traveling to school before sunrise for part of the year. This does raise some concerns about visibility and safety for students who walk, bike, or wait for buses during the darker morning hours. And we're sure this conversation will happen, locally as well as at the provincial level, but just something that we're really cautious of and conscious of. Finally, Deepak would like to thank the Board of Education and district staff for creating opportunities for the parent voice through the communications working group, for inviting us to joint agency meetings, and for welcoming parent questions and suggestions at the committee of the whole meetings. These opportunities for dialogue help strengthen understanding between the district and the families it serves, and we value the chance to contribute to conversations that support students and families. Thank you.
Thanks, Marina. We usually don't have questions of our presenters, Trustee Young and Trustee Austin. Is it an urgent?
I have an appreciation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank Deepak for the inclusive ed presentation on Sunday. I know Trustee Kellogg and I attended along with a few parents, and it was really good, and it really kind of mirrors what we've been doing in the district. Shelley Moore has come and spoken to our teachers and other workers over many years, and I was a little. You never know what a speaker's going to say before they start, but this was really good and really aligns with how I like to think about inclusive education. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for both attending, you and Carol. I really appreciate it. And once the recording's sent to us, we'll definitely share it wide. So hopefully others can view it as well.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Trustee Austin, not a
just
question,
a quick comment. I believe it's on April's Finance and Ops Committee of the Whole is the discussion around the change in the clock,
okay,
or as it is, not the change in the clock, but
yeah,
trying to get the jump on it and be proactive for that.
Wonderful, thank you.
I think it's going to be an interesting shift. Thank you very much, Marina. Okay, information items this evening. We'll start with Dr. Jory and his superintendent support. Dr. Jory.
Thank you, Chair Flynn. Hello, bonjour, squale, CMCAA. Good evening, everyone. As we work towards our upcoming spring break, the weather is a bit gloomy again. We even got a bit of snow today at higher elevations, though not enough to impact travel as far as I know. As I have typically said around this time of year, wet weather might be good for learning. Not certain, but I think it is. It is definitely good for the lakes, rivers, and streams and all the creatures that rely on them. And I like to take comfort in that as I continue to mention it. And without laboring the point, I am incredibly grateful to be living here rather than elsewhere, and I will leave it at that. One of the main topics on everybody's mind these days is our ongoing budget discussion. We did some very hard work last year, and I am so glad we did that hard work, as all the rising costs that Secretary Treasurer Amos has been telling us about would have simply been compounded had we not. While we continue to have our challenges, it is much better to be talking about the potential reduction of $1 million or so rather than 2 or 3 or 4 million or so. You will all recall that last month I reviewed our provincial assessment and graduation results, which compare very well with the province in most cases and compare especially well with districts that share a similar demographic profile. I want to reinforce that these outcomes are not accidental. These results reflect a number of practices we have worked hard to build across the district. Strong leadership in schools, consistent use of assessment evidence to guide instruction, systematic monitoring of student progress, and sustained professional learning for teachers and principals. Clarity and capacity are what wins the day. These practices are now captured in the newly written administrative procedure for Policy 303, known as the FESL policy. And as we enter budget season, I want to emphasize the importance of continuing to support the leadership and learning structures that make this work possible. Nothing happens by accident, friends, and let's be sure to support the key work of the organization. As mentioned already, thank you, Chair Gardner. The Joint Traffic Safety Committee met on March 4th with representatives from the Qualicum School District, Ministry of Transportation, Regional District of Nanaimo, BC Transit, City of Parksville, or RCMP, and school community partners, of course. The group discussed the beginning of best routes to school planning process, as mentioned, based on work from the Comox School District. Work in the Qualicum School District could start with Springwood Elementary before moving on to the Ecole Oceanside, then potentially expanding to Qualicum Beach Elementary and other schools over time. This will be a lot of work, but I think it has the potential to help with a number of traffic issues across the Qualicum School District. District staff discussed a potential grant application for a paved pedestrian pathway along Otters Way, the recent completion of pathway clearing to Seneca Close, a planned traffic circulation study of the school parking lot for May, I believe, and discussions with BC Transit regarding the possibility of buses entering the school site for student pickup and drop-off. Very exciting. The Ministry of Transportation rep indicated that traffic monitoring equipment can be deployed on Wright and Wembley roads to gather speed and vehicle data. Opportunities for improvements such as rapid flashing beacons at crosswalks and traffic or transit-related infrastructure grants were also discussed. The group also discussed improving communication with families regarding traffic expectations and coordinating with RCMP on potential enforcement if needed. The committee will next meet April 29th through Teams to review additional information and continue identifying priorities for potential safety improvements. I will be coming to the board for some manner of endorsement and possibly support next month, and Director Monroe and I will be figuring out some next steps for this work in the meantime. I must say that the recent provincial announcement regarding the permanent shift to what will be called Pacific Time poses some complications. I was just reviewing my public messaging from this time last year and recalling all the work we did in the last few years to shorten ride times and adjust our school starts forward to maximize sleep and limit time children spend on roadside in darkness. And I felt, frankly, a little discouraged, I have to admit. Now, Director Monroe pointed out that our recent work was even more important given the upcoming change, and I should appreciate that. And I should keep an open mind that things will work out in the long run as we all adjust our habits in response. That being said, I do think it really magnifies the need for a best routes to school initiative and for us to pursue this endeavor with dark winter mornings as a key consideration in the process. My colleagues will provide some educational updates as they always do. Schools have been sharing their many activities with me, so I can share some of them out to all of you in the next Constant Contact e-newsletter at the end of this week, I promise. So look for that. Again, thank you to all of you for doing what you do, whether you replace the switches, clean up spills, organize files, rotate tires, or teach, mentor, or support students in any way. Your efforts are noticed and appreciated. Have a great end of the week and a safe and restful spring break if you do get one. Thank you. Merci. And Haisepqua.
Questions to Dr. Jory, Trustee Young, and then Trustee Kellogg.
Yeah, me again. So I just want to do a little shout out to Angel because we've been through the traffic stuff before, and my thanks to the board. We seem to have gotten further this time, so I'm hopeful about that. But I was pretty disappointed the last time. And Angel did carried the heavy load of that, I think. To Dr. Jory, I noticed at my Hulkaminum class last week that there seemed to be a lot of people that were reported to be ill, and I'm wondering if we're going to do any extra cleaning in the schools or where we're at with illnesses going around our district, because usually they go up at this time of year. So
We haven't initiated an extra cleaning protocol as of yet. We are monitoring it. I am in touch with our replacement coordinators or call out folks every day. I ask them how it's going out there, where the hot spots are, and where we're dealing with non-replacements, and there have been some as of late. There is something going around. It seems to be the primary culprit seems to be a 2-week cold or flu that has a respiratory element to it, and a number of our schools have been hit, especially Bowser about a week ago with Peak. I think their students were away at about a 30% clip, and the staff roster was almost all replacements one of those days. We'll keep this in mind, and I'll look to Director Monroe to let us know if we need to trigger something. But as of now, not actually initiating anything different.
And Trustee Kellogg.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. We do a lot of meetings, and those safety meetings feel so productive to me. We've got so many good outside agencies that are attending the meetings, the plans that are going forward, the information that we've got from PACs and administrators. Just the whole group seems really productive. But Phil Monroe, you are a man that knows everything, or you know somebody that knows something, or you know somebody, and you make a difference when we sit down in those meetings. And I want to say thank you very much for your input. It really makes a difference, but I feel so good when I leave those meetings. We've only had 2, but I feel like the wheels are not spinning. Things are going on, and I'm super happy to be part of that. I'm grateful, actually. Thanks.
Thanks, Trustee Kellogg. Yeah, I think people came away pretty excited after the last one. Productive meeting for sure. Educational programs update. Director of Instruction, Mr. Terpstra, and Associate Superintendent, Ms. Wilson, tag teaming. Who's going first?
I'll just go real quickly. I just want to make a comment on the school teams that are currently working really hard on the school review process. District Principal Jennifer Furman and I are meeting with all of our school principals and vice principals. We have about 3 more schools to get to. We've been out there last week and this week. And the caliber of work that our teams are doing to reflect the progress that students are making, as well as looking at how we are providing those supports, has been amazing. We're using a little bit of a different format this year. We're using the tool, the Ed Insight, which is our data tool. So it's a spreadsheet that our teams are able to use for other purposes as well. It's been great conversation. Learning support teachers, counselors, support staff, the speech and language pathologists have all been contributing to the template to look to see what kind of support students are getting. So great work the teams are doing. So I just want to give accolades to that. And then the work that Jennifer and I will do afterwards to be able to look to see how we support our schools and resource them based on the staffings that we'll get through our next budget process. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ms. Wilson. Now to Mr. Terpstra.
Yes, thanks, Chair Flynn. Because I kind of took advantage of Associate Superintendent Wilson not reporting last month or last meeting, I'll just direct people for the education report to the minutes and the Ed Committee report. 2 things that I wanted to just add is from the career education front. Qualicum School District is excited to announce that we have received a dual credit enhancement grant for $400,000 from the Ministry of Education. Now, before we get too excited, we are sharing that with 4 other districts in a program, a collaboration. But we will be hiring a coordinator through the 4 districts, but also it's really going to provide opportunities for our students to have enhanced dual credit opportunities in the next year. And then also from Career Education, Qualicum School District is excited to announce that we are hosting the Vancouver Island Career Education Conference May 7th and 8th, focused on the theme of health and community connections at the Bayside Resort. That's all I have to report.
Could I jump in and ask Mr. Turf, what are the 3 other districts, our neighboring districts, so that we can
Yeah,
not be on the road in windshield timer?
absolutely. Port Alberni, Comox, Campbell River, and Cathet.
Okay, Cathet, for folks that don't know, is Powell River.
Yes. And really why it's that group is because we're working with North Island College as our primary contact. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. It aligns for sure. Trustee Austin, question.
Well,
Comment.
I'm just wondering if I know the education committee gets really full, but I think this would be a great topic, Rudy, if you could just expand on it a little more at Ed Committee in April. Talk about some of the opportunities and what they're looking at, because I'd definitely like a little more information on it.
Yes, absolutely. And Trustee Austin, you'll be excited to hear that we have been invited to a climate action career program by the Ministry of Education. This is just initial meetings, but nothing to announce right now, but I'm sure that's an exciting topic for you and the rest of the trustees.
Cool. Cool. Okay, seeing no further questions, the Ed Committee of the Whole will meet next. We got a couple of typos here. Next, Ed Committee of the Whole will meet Tuesday, April 14th at 2:00. Finance Committee of the Whole will meet next Tuesday, April 21st, 10:30. Policy Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, April 21st at 1:00. We have no reports from outside organization. Could I jump now to trustee items? And the trustees spent Friday afternoon and Saturday morning down in Cowichan at the new Cowichan High School, attending our Vancouver Island School Trustees meeting. We always have very emotional and agendas as we hear from students, from other educators. Our program this weekend featured a combination of Cowichan and the Gulf Islands. And the Gulf Islands Learning on the Land program was a tremendous experience to hear about, but I won't take any more time and I'll ask my fellow trustees that attended. Carol, Trustee Kellogg or Trustee Young, and then Trustee Austin. Who'd like to go first? Trustee Kellogg.
Yeah, I just wanted to let people know that are in the Feeding Futures group. We visited their feeding or their food program.
Nourish.
Nourish, that's in Cowichan, and it was quite amazing. It's a program that is very large. I think, Eve, how many bags of food were going out? 400 and something?
484 just for the weekend, but they feed all our schools, but it's a $2 million program, of which $1 million they fundraise for.
Yeah. But it was quite the program. They have a section of old middle school that has been converted into a working kitchen. I think they said they had 3 hired chefs, and then they have a ton of volunteers that come in and do a variety of things in the kitchen, loading bags. There's organizations that are involved in their stuff. They had freezers that were loaded with food. Eve got to try the food because she was on a work business call, and so she was able to. Elaine and I went out for lunch, but she had to grab something at the school, and they said it was fantastic.
Lunch on Friday at Cal High was chicken curry, along with salads and
Yeah.
sandwiches if kids didn't want, and pizza if they didn't want the other selection.
And I
So,
just want to give a shout out to the woman that runs that program.
Fatima?
She's the boss applesauce, and she runs a tight ship, I think, and she's been doing it for a long time. But man, oh man, is she productive. Yeah. Anyways, that's I enjoyed the time that we were there. It was great. All the presentations were good.
yeah, thanks, Trustee Kellogg. Trustee Young.
Yeah, I'm just speaking about Fatima. She's an ex-restaurant owner in Cowichan, and this is all run by the community. So it's not. I don't think there's funding that comes from the school district. They might be paying for their
They get some
their,
of their feed in
their
future.
share of the lunches or something like that. But this is community driven, as is the program in Victoria, the programs in Vancouver. We need to find somebody in community who is willing to just be, well, they could go down and talk to Fatima. She's so infectious. For me, in terms of the School Trustees Association, the Vancouver Island School Trustees Association, I always enjoy the business meeting and talking through the bylaws and all that kind of stuff. I'm a little different in that way, I guess. But I think the most interesting part for me was after we adjourned the business meeting, we had an informal circle, and circles are so important because you're facing one another. There's nobody who is the sage on the stage. And we went around, we talked about two things that we had learned in the last 4 years.
One thing.
Okay, one thing.
It was just one.
It was really fascinating what was said around the circle. And boy, if you were thinking of running and had not run before, that would have been a learning session for you on your own. I don't know if Trustee Flynn wants to talk about what she was doing on Friday morning that caused her to miss lunch before I talk about the Healing Garden, but I don't know. Trustee Chair Flynn, do you want to talk about that?
11:37 on Friday. BC Public School Employers Association trustee reps, of which Barry Kurland is ours, and I lost him on my screen. We voted 99.4% in favor of ratification of the memorandum of agreement with the BCTF for teacher bargaining, which concluded about 10 days ago. So it was very positive and great to come on the backside of the BCTF vote, which was the previous day, which was also 94% or 91% in favor as well of our teachers in the province, of which 52,000 teachers, for those that don't know, are in the province of British Columbia, and 35,000 of them voted in favor of the newly negotiated contract for the next 4 years. So this is a good news story, and we hope, as President Ewan Rycroft has said with our CUPE workers, that we experience the same success. And we get this wrapped up, and we have labor calm for 4 years. Thank you for the segue, Trustee Young.
Yes, and hang on, I've got a few other segues, because you never say this, but Trustee Flynn has a provincial role, and her role this year has been extensive, and I want to thank her for the work that she does on the provincial level and on the regional level, because she's involved with VISTA, she is on that executive, and she is the president of BCPC, which is the bargaining agent for all of our unions. And so I just wanted to do a little shout out before I talk about the Healing Garden.
Thank you very much, Trustee Young. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Healing Garden.
Healing Garden. So you'll recall that way back Ed Committee, we talked about this concept of a healing garden at KSS. And the board said, yes, you can be the liaison to that group. And since then, the Qualicum PAC has kind of taken that on, and they have terms of reference, which I will get my greasy little hands on soon, and we'll do a full report. And they also are creating a committee of which I would like to be part, and moving forward towards some kind of proposal. And I'm hopeful that the proposal will be long lasting and will not rely a whole lot on any kind of support from our senior management or from our budget at this point. I do want to just speak to the track. The track project was huge, and it required a lot of work from a lot of kind of unpaid, off the side of their desk kind of work from our senior management. So I certainly think that they're busy enough that we don't need to task them with more work. So I will be watching that, and you will hear, because I'll be reporting back to the board. Thank you.
Yeah, the KSS Healing Garden sounds quite exciting. Quite exciting. Yeah. Okay, we're coming to the end of our agenda this evening. There's no new or unfinished business, no board correspondence. Are there any questions from the public? Public question period. Sorry, I've got to, please raise your hand, the raise hand function, because then I can see you. Seeing no questions then, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Very upbeat meeting, lots of kind of exciting news happening as we go down the pike. Everyone have please a very safe and enjoyable spring break. Take the time to rest, enjoy family, and reflect on our outdoors and our nature and things like that that are always good, peaceful things to bring into our psyche. Could I have a mover to and close the meeting? Thank you, Trustee Kellogg.
Ooh.
Happy spring break, everyone, and be safe. And